my son recently got married. Well, I say recently, but in January. I don't know how long he was in the relationship with this young lady, but I met her when I came by for Christmas. Didn't know they were living together or anything. And then maybe a week or so later, he lets me know that she's pregnant. And so, I decided, okay, well, this will be my first grandchild and all of that. I want to get to know her better, because I want to spend time with the grandchild. So I invite them out for lunch.
Okay, hold on. Can I stop you right there? Can I just call
okay.
something real quick?
Okay.
This is not how you would have drawn this up, right?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Can I applaud you? Like, if you were here, I would just stop the conversation. And if you were cool with it, I just want to give you a big hug. Because all over the country, I'm hearing parents, and especially older parents with kids who are adults, blowing up everything because this isn't how I would do it. This isn't my values. This isn't my. And completely missing out on the magic of grandkids, the magic of adult relationships. And I could tell in the way you told that story, this is not how you would draw. This is not how you wanted to find out, my son's got a long-term girlfriend. Oh, he's married. Oh, we're having a kid. That's not how you would have drawn that up. And you immediately went to, how can I be the best grandmother I can be? Good for freaking you. Can I just applaud you? It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm proud. Man, it makes my heart feel good that there's moms and grandmas out there like you. All right, now, let it rip.
Yeah, well, I invited them to lunch, and the response back was, oh, well, we're getting married on this date. It was in January. So okay. So went to the wedding, all of that kind of thing. It was a small wedding out in the park, and we had snow in Florida. And so we were out there in the snow and everything, and so that was that. Everything was fine. And then they had the gender reveal party in April. And that's where everything kind of fell apart. So went to the gender reveal party and everything. And after, everything was kind of ending and everything. And so my son was loading up their car and packing up the car and everything. And so while my son was away, my daughter-in-law was talking to her stepmom. And I didn't catch what the stepmom asked her, but her response to the stepmom was, oh, I'm definitely getting a DNA test done.
Uh-oh.
Yep, I'm getting a DNA test done. I'm getting a DNA test done. And so I was just stunned. I was, just kind of in shock. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to respond. I just sat there frozen. And so my son came back and he sat down next to her, and she seemed kind of shocked that he was there. And so she turned around, and when she turned around, I'm staring her in her face. And so I'm just like, I didn't know what to do, but the stepmom kind of jumped in, and she was, kind of changed the subject a little bit. And she was like, oh, and she was asking him, are you excited to have a daughter? And so he was just kind of like, yeah. And I'm just sitting there, and, my son notices me that, how I'm acting. I'm trying not to act any type of way, but I'm just in shock. So he comes over and he's asking me how I'm doing and, all that kind of thing. And I didn't know what to say. So I just said, I'm okay, which I hadn't been feeling good that day. So I was just like, I'm just not feeling good. And I think I'm going to leave. And so that's what I did, start packing up the things that I brought to leave and everything. And to add icing to the cake, which that's a big enough shocker, but they were smoking not just cigarettes. She wasn't smoking a cigarette, but her stepmom and stepdad were smoking cigarettes, all around her, in front of her. She was smoking a vape, and they were saying they weren't going to leave the park yet. They were going to go and smoke marijuana, all of them. And so just like, this just can't, it just can't get any worse, And so I, took my older son with me, and, we got in the car and we just left, and.
So pregnant mom was going to smoke weed?
Yes. Oof. Pregnant mom, my son, the stepdad, the stepmom, her siblings, and other people that were there, her friends and stuff, they were all going to go smoke weed. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, she's pregnant, I feel like none of that should be happening around her, and definitely she shouldn't be doing it. Right. On top of everything, it's just, And so I've asked the advice of, a couple people, and everybody is torn on, one side or the other. You should have said something right then to your son, or you should still say something to your son. Other people like, no, you leave it alone. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if he knows.
You haven't sat down and talked to him?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
And I can't get him, which I was, because initially I was. I want to get him by himself, but since they've been together, I cannot get him by himself. I've even asked, because my mom, she's in a nursing home, and I asked him, under the guise, I wasn't feeling that great. Can you go with me just in case something happens? And, he didn't respond to that. Even when I come over and I'm in the car, and he comes out to the car, she'll come following behind him, and she'll interrupt the conversation, and start having a side conversation with him. So I can never spend time with him alone. But, which, I guess that's a conversation I could say in front of both of them. But I just kind of want to know if he knows that there's a possibility he's not the biological dad.
Yeah.
And if he knows that already, like, okay, are you stepping up to the plate and like, you know what, I'm in love with her, so I'm going to raise this child as my own, or does he not know at all? And, that's what I want to know.
Yeah. So
because, go ahead.
Well, yeah, man, there's so much here. I guess I would I want to back all the way out. And the fact that he had a living girlfriend, like a serious girlfriend that you didn't know about. The fact that he had a kid coming you didn't know about. The fact that he had a wedding on the calendar that you didn't know about tells me that y'all did not have a close relationship for a while now, right?
So when he's in a relationship, he backs off.
I know, but what I'm saying, I know, but you might think you have a relationship, but if behavior is a language, he is telling you, Mom, I don't want you involved in my life.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I know it's hard to hear, but I just want to see, I want just to put it on the table. Like, here's the way he's acted over the course of the last year plus.
Right.
And so he's communicating in his own messed up son way. How old is he, by the way?
28.
Okay. So he's old enough. He's not like he's 22, right? He's old enough. For whatever reason, he's backing all the way out. And then you hear this. And then you see this, right? You see very unsafe behavior for a like a pregnant woman, for a baby in utero, right? And I guess my question for you is, let me put it this way. My wife this morning, we have somebody staying with us, and my wife said, hey, we're going to the Pancake Pantry, which is this rad kind of hole in the wall, but it's like an institution here in Nashville. It's an amazing breakfast place. And I said, hey, are y'all going by yourselves or can I tag along? And she looked at me and she smiled and she goes, this one's not for you. This is just for us. And I was like, oh, man. But I totally respect my wife. I totally respect her friend who's in town. And that's not a weird thing for her to say. Yeah, we want to go have a private breakfast. And so the fact that you can't say that to him, hey, I want to have some time just with my son, period.
Right.
And kind of put him on the block and say, like, are you going to go have a breakfast with your mother or no? That tells you whether you have permission, which I don't think you do, permission to say what you need to say.
Okay.
And I here's what I tell you. You're the mom. I would take full ownership of I'm the mom, which means I'm going to say the things that need to be said because I'm your mother and I love you, whether you want to hear them or not. And then he gets to be a grown-up 28-year-old man and say, I don't want to talk to you, Mom, or I'm going to hear this. That's part one. Part two is, I think you have to tell your son what's up, period. And I'm going to go one step further and say, if my child, if I know of, if a stranger, but much less my potential future grandson, if I know this baby is in harm's way, I'm gonna sound the alarm. I'm gonna call somebody, whether that's social service. I'm gonna ask for blood test if there's illegal drugs being ingested on this mother, on this pregnancy. And I'm willing to blow up this relationship for the sake of a human who's going to have to live with the ramifications forever. For a mom who did not stop using drugs while my kid was in utero.
Yeah.
Especially if that's my potential grandson. I know this will cost you relationships, and I would tell you on behalf of that unborn kid, that's worth that.
Okay.
And if I'm being honest, the relationship you think exists already doesn't. So it almost makes this easier. And I know what I'm saying is so hard to hear, and I'm sorry that I'm the guy saying it like this, but I think you have a mother-son responsibility to say, hey, son, I heard this. I need you to know this is going on behind your back. And he may tell you, Mom, I know. I already know. Or he may say, wait, what? And he may blow up at you. You didn't want this. You've never wanted me to be happy. Who knows what he's going to say? But as a parent, I want to know. I looked my kid in the eye and said, I love you enough to shove you out of the way of a moving truck. And if that truck was turning and I shove you down and you get some scrapes and bruises, I'll tell you I'm sorry. But at least I did what I thought was the right thing to keep you safe in that moment. And if I see a kid in the road, I'm gonna pick that kid up and try to get that kid out of harm's way, and that's what you're seeing. And so maybe she gets a blood test back. She passes with flying colors. She was just trying to act tough in front of her family. She's actually taking care of that baby, and you were watching her vape, so that's probably not true. But I'm trying to just give the benefit of the doubt. At least she will know, hey, there's somebody with eyes over this little baby.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I know what I'm saying is hard, but I think it's right for your kid. And I think it's right for you. And I mean, put it this way: you're not going to be able to sleep at night until you let your truth be known, right?
Right. Yeah. It's been bothering me.
It's killing you. Yeah.
Yeah. I do kind of feel like that she's using him, because it seemed like time they got together, she quit working, she quit going to school, and he was the sole caregiver. And at one point, her mom moved in with her other 7 siblings, and he was the only one in the house working. Mm-hmm. So it just does feel like he's being taken advantage of, and I hate that for him, But
also he's 28 years old and he's making grown man decisions.
Yeah.
And so as a mom, you can say, hey, I need to call this out and put this on the table. I'm saying this because I love you and I can be wrong. I see my son getting taken advantage of. And then he is a 28-year-old working grown man about to be a father of a kid who may or may not be his, gets to look at his mom and say, Mom, this is the life I'm choosing. Back off.
Yeah.
Or he gets to say what? And that may be a great time for you to say, hey, when I was younger, I did this to a guy. Or I watched this happen in my family with my brother or my uncle or my dad. And you're going to connect because here's the thing, he's not 12, and so you're going to have to connect relationally and persuasively, because you can't tell him what to do anymore. He's a 28-year-old man. Like, he's all grown up now. And so you sitting down and saying, here's what I'm seeing. I know you're a grown man and you get to make grown man decisions, but I'm watching an entire family unit begin to weigh on your shoulders. And he may say, hey, this is what I signed up for. But I think every parent has a responsibility when they see their kid in harm's way to risk an uncomfortable conversation, an uncomfortable season, maybe blow up the whole relationship to keep somebody safe, to keep somebody alive. Whether that's your son, whether that's your unborn grandkid, or whether it's just a neighborhood kid that is biologically not connected to you, your son, or anybody, but still that kid's going to have to grow up in a world with the neurological wiring of a mom who smoked weed regularly while she was pregnant with him. And I'm just going to get involved as a community member. And I guess what I want to say is our whole culture is wound up in you do you and I'll do me. And we're dying from that sentiment. It used to be my neighbor, Miss Kathy, who lived next door to me, came over to my house because she acted as another mother. Miss Nita, who lived on my street, acted as another mother. Grandma Kathy, who lived diagonal to us. Zandra, who lived down the street. I was raised by my parents, but a whole bunch of other moms and dads got involved too, because they got to see things that my parents didn't see, and I'm standing on their shoulders right now. And that type of, it takes a village is gone now. And so I want to encourage you, like, interject when it's time to keep your kids safe. Interject when it's time to keep this baby safe. And let's begin building communities back. And if you lose that relationship and they want to act like children, then so be it. But at least you will be able to go to sleep saying, I loved my son enough to say the hard thing.